The Blue Beetle.
Hello, Johnson. This is Archie.
Bring you the thrilling Dick Tracy detective adventures.
Hi, I'm Paula, and this week we are back. We talk aliens, robots, magic, and like usual, Brandon gets emotional.
Damn emotional.
Damn emotional. That and more on this week's Quick Flips. I'm Paula, and this is Brandon.
Hey.
And this is Quick Flips.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while, having babies and such. Wouldn't have been that long, but a lot of things happened that we didn't plan along with the time off we were taking for the whole baby situation.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my voice at the end of that pregnancy, so we couldn't record.
This is true.
Yeah, so now we've been reading like crazy, and we're ready
As
to...
always.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're ready to go over some books.
I feel like I'm your hype man. Like, yeah, as always.
Yep.
Come on. You just want to get right into it? It's been a long time.
I know.
I've been talking superhero books for too many weeks. Let's talk about some stuff that gets a little less attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where do you want to start?
I was thinking about Ghost Tree.
Okay, yeah. I know a lot of... I haven't had a chance to take a look at the first two issues of this book yet, although I was really excited, when I saw both the art and the solicitation for the first book. I thought it was brilliant looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the art's awesome. Actually, you showed it to me because you thought the art was pretty cool, and then I decided I was going to read it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. We both kind of thought it was going to be this samurai story kind of, book.
I thought it was going to be very mission oriented. Yes. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to be as, dare I say, cute or emotional as you've been telling me it has been.
Yeah, it's pretty emotional. It's basically this dude named Brandt. When he's a kid, his grandfather takes him out to the woods. And it's funny because when I first read it, it was like this kind of weird, sinister moment, like, follow me to the dark woods. And he's telling this boy things that I would never tell a kid, like, you're very inquisitive. Go with that. Take chances. Go off into the woods alone. And I'm thinking, like, who tells their kids to go off into the woods alone, right? So he tells him this, and he's like, but here, let me show you. And he takes him to this like big tree, and it's the ghost tree. And all he says to him is, 10 years after I die, meet me under this tree.
Sorry.
Yeah.
After he dies.
After he dies.
Hence the name. Okay.
Yeah. Ghost tree.
Now I'm okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Brandt grows up. It just jumps to him on a plane. Right. And he grows up and he's going to visit his family. He doesn't remember his grandfather told him this. It's just like a subconscious thing. So he goes to visit, it's under the guise of he's having like marital troubles and he's running away from his problems. But what's actually happening is he subconsciously wants to go back. Right. So he goes back and gets up in the middle of dinner and goes off into the woods and he sees something in the forest, like peering at him. So he follows it out into the forest, to this tree. And it turns out that his grandfather's there and, he's a ghost. And his grandfather's like, oh, I knew you would come back. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you don't remember when you were a kid? I told you to meet me here. And he's like, no, I don't remember this. He's like, yeah, that's why you're here. And I'm just like,
I'm assuming, okay, so I know that you're being fairly cynical about it.
Yeah.
First of all, again, like I'm flipping through this here now as we're talking, and man, is it a good looking book. I love these colors. We're going to talk about another, I have issue 1 here, and we're going to talk about another book later, this episode that just does amazing work with these muted color palettes. But I assume from what you're taking, I still want to read this. I'm not going to lie to you because I think they're implying that this is preordained.
Yeah.
That it is fate.
It is fate, yeah. What I don't understand, I read the first and second, and maybe I'm missing something. Is it only his family that he can see, or only people in his family can see, or people in his family in the past have been able to see
about right now?
ghosts? Well,
is it his family, or is it only his family that is a family, or is there other families that family?
Okay, don't get me wrong. I like it. There's...
No, I'm sorry.
But,
okay, so you mean that can see ghosts?
Yeah, can see ghosts, yeah. But I don't think it's only his family of ghosts that he can see. I think that it's just people in his family
can see all
yes,
ghosts.
Can see all ghosts.
All people in his family can
exactly.
see ghosts.
Over the years.
As opposed to him being able to see his family-specific ghosts, which is equally as odd.
Yeah, yeah. Well, his grandfather's just sort of like warning him about it. He's like, oh, I kind of wish I'd never told you about this. Okay. Here's the thing, though. The grandfather was able to see ghosts, and now he's worried that, I guess, Brandt is going to give up his living life to just hang out with the ghosts.
Okay, so I'm more confused about what this book is about now since we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble putting together this kind of overarching story. Just like he goes into the woods, he sees some ghosts. He didn't know he was going to go there, and now there's ghosts. How do you make a series out of this?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
It's like if the kids went to fucking Neverland,
I know.
and is like Peter's like, hey, come with me to Neverland, and like everything's great. There's no Captain Hook, there's no nothing. It's just like, we're awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that's what you're describing
more.
to me.
No. Okay, so he's gone back. He sees his grandfather. As soon as his grandfather sees him, he's like, I should never have told you to come here.
Okay.
Right? So now it's like there's some sort of foreshadowing, like something bad is going to happen, and you can tell that Brandt really likes it there, talking to the dead people. Like it's very, I don't know, like he's going to get lost within this world of ghosts or something, and there's like demons and stuff. It's really strange. But there's a couple side stories. One is a dead girlfriend comes back. Right. And there's like some stuff going on there. His marriage is falling apart. We don't know why. So now there's like this weird side story with this girl who's a ghost. So like, is he going to get lost in this ghost world and like try to rekindle a relationship with a ghost? Like, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to keep reading it because I want to know what the hell, what are they trying to do with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just...
You're not selling it to me too good. This was one of the most anticipated, like, issue number 2s.
But that's the thing.
That came out this week. You know how many emails I got from people? Like, we have a very small YouTube presence, and when, because we're a new YouTube channel, a lot of people know us from other podcasts or from this podcast stuff, but they don't, we're just starting out on YouTube. And from, like less than 100 plays we had on our new Comic Book Day Top 5 video this week, it was like, specifically took the time to DM me, like, hey man, didn't want to embarrass you, but
no, it's
you're
not
an
bad.
idiot.
I like it. I wouldn't. I don't know. It's okay. It's good. It's not what I thought it was. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with it.
So you're having the same problem that we talked about off air, me having with Punk Mamba there, where everyone's just like ranting and raving, and I'm like, this is.
It does kind of feel like that. It's like, let's take a whole bunch of good ingredients and put them all together and see what we can make.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
And I don't know about you, but like we've both been in and around the music scene for a very, very long time now. I've had the opportunity to at least tour the majority of North America, like doing the whole band in a van thing like multiple times. And now we're talking kind of about Punk Mamba and books like that. By the way, if you're confused, like there's a band in Ghost Tree.
There were ghosts in the van.
Yeah, like my point with that is just nowadays I'm at this point where it's like if someone says that there's something about a band or like a punk rock voodoo priestess ninja wizard thing in a book, I'm like, oh. Like it's a real letdown for me. And that's why, for example, when I really want people to know when I talk so highly about books, like, for example, Murder Falcon, that is coming from a genuine place of joy from a person who's soured about the idea of music based literature or characters specifically. Like, it's like if we went back to the early 2000s and you were like, hey, Guy Ritchie's making another film about British gangsters, I'd be like, ugh. And so, for example, like, that I'm going to also take a second to pump up Murder Falcon because, it's done now. It's done, and I'm like, I can't wait for this next. Like, it seems like it's going in a new direction. Like, I hope that there's more of them. I loved how it wrapped up. Can we talk about Murder Falcon?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hey, wait.
Yeah,
Credits.
Ghost Tree credits.
Let's do the credits for Ghost Tree.
Ghost Tree is written by Bobby Curnow. The art is by Simon Gain. Colors are by Ian Herring with Becca Kinsey. And the letters are Chris Mowry.
Cool. Sorry, let's go over. Yeah, I want to talk about Murder Falcon. Murder Falcon wrapped up while we were off. A lot of books wrapped up that we were really loving while we were off. Obviously, we haven't got much of a chance to speak about Die on the show either. But I feel because of how much Nick likes that series, it's going to find its way into an episode of Debate Comics or something like that. So I'm not super worried about it. But that book's also amazing. Yeah. Coming out in trade this week. It's too bad we can't pick it. Our rules, predicate that we can't pick a trade paperback. No, I know. Or I would be picking either this week or next week. Either the first week of June or last week of May. Anyway.
Doesn't mean we won't pick it up.
Oh, yeah. I love that these like second and third and fourth and fifth printings of all of the Die books. It's almost like you want to get every one of those covers because you never know which one's going to be the collector's item, and they're also so beautiful. So just put them on your fucking, slab them and put them up on your wall or whatever. We were going to talk about Murder Falcon, though. Yeah, we were. So the series wrapped up, written and illustrated by Daniel Warren Johnson. I can't think of who's on letters or colors on that book. I'm sorry because I don't have it up. Maybe you can find that while we're talking, my love. But this book wrapped up. I kind of got lost in the middle few issues. I was so close at one point in the story to falling off, and it just, I was like walking that tightrope. I was almost gonna just hit the road. But something about the story, the energy, the spirit, the connection of the characters to each other kept me going. And when we got to this final issue with this like epic battle, and it's very, there's nothing groundbreaking about it, but I think that what's groundbreaking about it perhaps is the emotional resonance of it. They play with a lot of traditional themes of life and death, and obviously if you know anything about the book, you know what the main character is facing. And obviously you know what the relationship to he and the Murder Falcon is. And I think it's just absolutely ridiculous because it's like if you took the final act of Return of the Jedi and put it in a blender with the end of the decline of Western civilization, the punk rock documentary from the 90s. This is a weird combination. Yeah, but okay. you put those in a blender, and you put in something with a kaiju, or like what so like put in like Pacific Rim or like this new Godzilla King of Monsters movie or something like that. Put them in a blender, and then just like hit that like super mush like highest setting on the blender, and that is the final issue of Murder Falcon. And like all our analogies seem to be blenders, recipes, and blenders. Yeah, put a dash of this, drop of that, sprinkle of that, and just a whisper. I like it. Yeah, I often get frustrated if people aren't through literature or through art trying to proceed further than others have before that have written about music or traveling as musicians or true crime around musicians or whatever it is, like all of these things. It really has to blow my hair back, and Murder Falcon is one of those books that absolutely did that because the most important thing about any endeavor that you do on the creative front is always it's a selfish thing. It has to be. And you can tell that the writer, Daniel Warren Johnson, is getting a ton out of this book himself.
Yeah.
And for me, as you know, looking at the music elements or looking at the, you know, the kaiju elements or the, you know, the very serious and grim kind of elements of the book, I can look at that and respect all of those things, even though some of them, maybe if I saw them in a book normally, I'd roll my eyes. But when he puts it together, it works beautifully.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And I can't recommend the series enough. You know?
Cool. I know. I still haven't read it, and you've been talking about it for a while.
You read the first issue.
Yeah, I did.
I basically like held you at gunpoint. You know? I held you at blender point.
Button point.
Yeah. So yeah, do we have a credit? Do you have a credits page there handy? By
I
any
have
chance?
the writer, Dana Warren Johnson, and Mike Spicer.
Mike Spicer is the colorist. You're right. So, and Russ Wooten on letters. I'm looking at it now. Yeah. So Murder Falcon number 8. I think the trade paperback is out real soon. So if you can go out and get that, or go out and get the floppies. I really like. I love the art on this. I think it's so
it's
fun,
very cool,
and so honest, and that's what I like about it. You know, that's what I want from a project like this, which is like literally, if you pitch this to me, it's like everything I would roll my fucking eyes at. You know,
normally.
So,
yeah.
But at the same time, I'd be like, kind of sounds fun, because the 13-year-old inside of me would be like, all right, let's do this. And that's what got me here, you know. To be honest, it was an uphill battle for this book, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right.
What's up next?
Well, I was thinking Road of Bones.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to finish it.
Yeah, you started reading it, and
last
I picked
night.
up your copy, and I'm like, oh, this looks really good. So I'm stealing that from you.
Yeah.
So now we're going to a Russian gulag. This is fun.
Yeah, I love the period piece thing about this, and the folklore and everything. It's like, to me, this is like the complete opposite of what we were just talking about with Murder Falcon, where it's like this is like someone just threw a bullseye right in the target that is my, you know, brain.
Yeah.
So sorry, please continue.
No, it's fine. This I guess you'd call him an inmate, but that sounds like a much nicer version of what he actually is. He's going to basically spend his whole life in this freaking gulag, right? And he's working. He's a chef, and he also does outside labor. He steals food or hides food to give to this mythical creature that's part of Russian folklore.
Yes.
What was he called?
Domovoy.
Oh, yeah, there we
or
go.
Domovic in the book. Yeah.
In the book, it's called a Domovic. So this creature guards your house. You feed it, and you keep it happy, and it guards your house. So he's caught, you know, sneaking a piece of bread under this door. And he's sentenced to 10 extra years plus double the labor, like 60 days of double the labor and all this crazy shit. So one of his friends at this camp basically helps or proposes that they run away, right? So they run away. And that's what I'm guessing that's what they mean by Road of Bones. Yeah. Like, I need to look into this a bit more. Apparently, this is a term that I was not familiar with. But so they have to go through the mountains, and they're basically going to die. They don't have enough food. They just decide, like, we'll deal with that later. And I won't give it away, but there's a bit of a twist at the end.
Don't give it away, because I've got, like, I'm halfway through it, literally. I'm sorry. I was trying to read it before I came here today.
Well, it's, you know, so it's got a little bit of magic in it, you know, if anything. It's got a little bit of, magic in it. You'll see why.
It's got a little magic in it.
It's very dark, though. Like, it's violent, it's dark, it's depressing, but it's got like a magical aspect to it with this mythological creature. Yeah. So, I don't know. I really liked it. I'm going to continue reading it. Yeah. I'm glad I picked it up.
The editor on this book is the same as the writer on your first book, Bobby Curnow. He edits this book. Now, I really like another book that this artist draws called Sync. It's a Comics Tribe book, and it's very hard to get your hands on up here in Canada. But there is a handful of places, there is stores that you can get it. So, you know, if you want to see...
awesome.
Yeah, Sync is a really cool book. And that's why I checked out Road of Bones. Yeah. And it's a similar kind of violent. I think Sync is a Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, for any creative artists or any like artists and writers out there that are working on comics, Comics Tribe actually has a bunch of great materials on, doing stuff on the cheap, learning how to do a Kickstarter, this sort of thing. So they do have a lot of resources on that front. And the artist on this book, whose first name is fucking Alex Cormack, is that right? Alex
Cormack.
Yeah. So he does some work with them and art on Sync, which is the only book I don't know either of these cats, but that was what made me pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to finish it. So I'm really excited.
You're gonna like it.
Yeah, I really want to hear some people's opinions on social media this week. So reach out to Paula or myself, or we're always on the Exploding Earth's Twitter and Instagram and whatnot. So
so far it's exactly the vibe that the cover promises.
Yeah,
like you're gonna get what you think you're gonna get, which I really like.
Yeah. Especially in a week where it feels like we've been sold a false bill of goods on a lot of books, most of which we're not talking about. Where are we here? So, the credits. Road of Bones is written by Rich Dweck. Art and colors are done by Alex Cormack, as I previously mentioned. Letters by Justin Birch. And edits, again, the editor on this book is Bobby Curnow, who was the writer on Ghost Tree, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm up next, yeah?
Yeah, you are.
What the hell else did I read that I liked this week?
You read so much that it's...
Yeah, it's like, it's all a blur until I come back to the next issue, and then it's... let's talk a little bit just quickly about Middlewest, because Middlewest is another book that suffered, I feel, because we have such a huge following that would affect this book's sales. No, I mean... it's a book that we have not had an opportunity to talk about nearly enough, right? So I want to talk about it a little bit more, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wasn't able to get into it, remember?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little too quirky, too magical.
It absolutely is quirky and magical.
I need the right amount of quirk and magic.
Well, here's the thing, though. We assumed that this was going to be this beautiful little adventure of a boy and his fox kind of thing with all kinds of crazy people and whatnot along the way, which it is. However, there are some serious philosophical questions about, say, for example, lineage predetermining your course in life. So, for example, if your parents are X, then you too will be that, or this sort of thing, right? And also the choices that an individual must make that will, and the subsequent effects of said choices on their life.
Yeah.
And they're very much things that I often find myself talking to our kids about, specifically the boys.
Yeah.
And this book handles that in a really interesting way. I also find it unique that the book does feature cursing, when I also know it is focused towards a young adult audience.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because for me, even taking the cursed words, the odd curse word into account, and things like that, and the darker tone that this book has really taken on, I would not think twice about putting it in the hands of, say, for example, Nash or Ben when they were around the age of 10 or 12 even. Maybe even, I would say 10 would be fine. I think that, because I think that this book is exactly, well, one, I think it's interesting that all of the cursing is generally done by the children.
Yeah. Well, we know the kids curse all the time. They just don't do it around adults.
Yeah. And then, which I don't care, like, because which one is more insulting? If they call me a fudging arsehole, like, would they think they're getting away with something, or like, oh snap or something. Like, no, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's just more condescending to me because it's like you're trying to get away with something. It just shows me that you're a coward.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
as
swear.
a person, just swear. Yeah.
Just swear.
In any case,
Just fucking swear.
yeah, give me a fucking break. But okay, let's get into the nitty and gritty on this series because we haven't talked about it since the first issue, which I said was a perfect book. This is a perfect first issue. You could do it differently, but there was no way that you could make it better. There was literally no way that you could make it better.
Yeah.
And while this series has been one that I've come on and off and on and off again, I continue to buy it and then read it in chunks. Because I think there's a handful of things that are interesting. First of all, you have Scotty Young writing the book, and this is the guy who's writing the Deadpool book. Obviously, he's got some other great creative-owned stuff. If you talk about a book that like literally is like absolutely equal parts that three contributors, you know, the story, the art, and the colors, and then they've also got the perfect lettering in this book, as silly as it is, you know.
Yeah.
We've talked about Blambot before. We love them because they help independent comics artists with free fonts that are professional and unique to to their projects. And then if you are a larger studio or your studio then you can purchase specific fonts, or you can have people from Blambot design fonts for you. And I love the font work in this book. I love the lettering in this book. I think it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Everything about this book is great. It's been a wild ride. There's been a lot of learning. I can't say enough about this book.
I like the art.
It's perfect. It's fucking perfect. And you know what? There's for a guy who writes Deadpool, the little amount of writing that there is in this book, in terms of he conveys so well, the ideas and the little bit of writing that he actually uses in the book. It's like anyone that wants to, for example, pat guys like Tom King on the back for going back and forth for 40 pages, going bat, cat, bat, cat, bat, cat, bat, cat, and like, oh my God, give him all the fucking awards. No. Look at
You're really
Middlewest.
pissed about that.
Well, no, look. He's at 85. He's going to be at 85 issues when he ends. You might as well just let him, run the gamut anyway, because I already can't stand the book. Whatever. So now they're going to let him do it in like an Elseworlds book or something with Clay Mann. So at least it'll look beautiful. Yeah. Whatever. But and there's a guy that as well. He's done amazing work with DC and like Mr. Miracle and I really like the Dick Grayson run that he did Grayson there. Although I guess shooting him in the fucking head kind of negates that. But in any case, sorry. So, this book, the writer of this book respects the fuck out of the artist and the colorist. And obviously he's been working with Beaulieu for his entire career. He's colored everything that Scotty Young has ever drawn. Yeah. Or at least not that he's ever drawn. But when he was looking for colors for Fairyland, I think that's when they started working together. So that's a team. Like, this is a team effort, and I respect the shit out of this, and I respect the shit out of the book. Is it my favorite book ever? No. Is it as good as it can possibly be? Yes. Yeah. And, I can't wait to show this to Nash and Ben, because I think this is like if Harry Potter was an American from the Midwest who, when his parents weren't looking, put a cigarette in his mouth, and lit it up, and maybe, and his parents weren't dead, and, it's his aunt and uncle who are mean to him. It's fucking his parents, and his parents are the crux of who he has to become. Yeah. His parents' flaws are his flaws, or are they? He has to decide that. It's a story about moving from childhood into adulthood, and it's as transcendental, I believe, as something like, for example, Stephen King's The Body, which has obviously been adapted into Stand By Me, which is one of like the most important coming of age stories in film for our generation of boys. Yeah. And I think that potentially that this could or should stand up as an equal work of art. Okay. Sorry. So yeah. little too
you look so intense.
there, yeah.
Like his hands are in fists,
Okay, so Middlewest, written by Scotty Young, art by Jorge Corona, colors by Jean-Francois Beaulieu, lettering by Nate Piekos of Blambot, as we mentioned before. And yeah, if you haven't been reading it, I think the first trade is already out, and I think it's one of those $10 trades, if I'm not mistaken, from Image.
Yeah.
The $9.99 US price books. But either way, if you got to pay $14 for it, pay $14 for this, because, like, come on. Just shut up and pay your $15. Like, you know.
Well, we know already. You go more for like the magical, all the feels sort of books, and I go for the torture, depressing, dystopian world.
I like a good torture.
You like a little torture.
I like a little torture. Why aren't you reading Ascender then? Because that's going to be one of my picks this week.
Maybe
and
I will.
you've never read any Descender.
Maybe
and you
I
haven't
will.
Read it. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to go back on because you know how. Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of stuff to go back on,
Yeah.
I've been reading Port of Earth.
Yes. You did that a few weeks ago in your in your top 5 list.
So I actually tried to catch up. I believe they're on latest one is 10. I'm on 5, so I'm halfway there.
Okay.
I fell asleep with it in my hand last night, just like looking into it and, you know, the reviews, and it's freaking awesome. Like, I would love to see this as a movie or a series. Like, it's so intense. The art is awesome. It's got like this political feel to it. Basically, aliens come to Earth, but not in like a let's be friends way or in a takeover kind of way.
Yeah.
They came over for a business proposition.
I love that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love that.
It's awesome. So then humans...
It's very Deep Space Nine.
I know. Humans are like, yeah, sure, totally. Let's do this. The business deal that they make is that they're going to build a port for alien spaceships to dock at and refuel. Now, the fuel that they've been able to use is water. So these aliens, I guess, you know, other species can use water as fuel. So now they're going to dock and use our oceans as their fuel, very like minimal amounts. It's not like they're going to use all the water. And in exchange for letting them build the port on Earth, we get the technology to use water as fuel. So they teach us how to use it. Now,
fresh water or salt water?
Salt water.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, as you can imagine, there's repercussions.
Of course.
The
Like you can't
gas
fucking
industry.
breathe.
Well, yeah. Well, no, the gas industry.
Our largest oxygen source. Let's just screw with it.
Well, gas mining, basically. So all of these people go out of business. It affects industry big time. The water is now fuel.
Yeah.
Now there's rules in place, right? That basically ensure that humans and aliens won't see each other. The aliens are not allowed off the port, and the humans are not allowed on the port.
Oh, that's going to work just perfectly.
No,
fine.
I know. And up until this point where I've been reading, it hasn't really been an issue with humans going to the port.
Really? Because I thought I remember seeing something in the preview for issue
No.
one that was a little naughty.
No. The aliens have left the port.
Okay.
The aliens are leaving. They're killing people. There's a group of aliens that teleports to a little town and eats a bunch of kids.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really messed up.
Wow.
It's pretty dark because they don't know. They're just carnivores, right? And like humans are just, something I ate, eat it. Like they don't know. So, humans and aliens have to be kept apart. Now, here's the part where it gets kind of weird. And the way that it's written is really cool.
Up till now.
The way that the book is written is there's this constant interview happening with the ESA, Earth Security Agent Director. This guy's name is Tom, right?
What is it like? It's like an episode of The Office?
No. You know what? There was another book that I read. There was another book that I read that was like this, and it was The Terminator. Remember?
Which
No,
Terminator
not the
book?
Terminator. I'm sorry. No.
RoboCop?
RoboCop. Yeah. Sorry. I'm thinking of like robots, but yeah, RoboCop was written that way where like
Was
it would segue.
The Citizens
Yeah.
Arrest?
Yeah. Citizens Arrest. It would like, you'd get little tidbits from reporters, like the
But
news
that's how the
report.
movie is.
Yes, I know, but that's how this is written. This is my,
Oh,
this is what I'm saying.
So he's not speaking to you. It's not like a...
No, he's speaking to the reporter,
Okay,
and
so
they're
it's-
doing an interview. It's
okay.
just like ongoing interviews,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So anyway, there's these ESA agents, and their job is to protect the aliens. But the way that it's proposed as they're protecting the aliens, but in reality, the aliens are killing us. So the aliens come and kill us, and we're not allowed to retaliate. We just have to usher them back to the port and get them off the planet, right? There are no rules as to whether they can come back or not, or which species can't come back. So it's got a really interesting political feel to it in that sense. Now, at this point, a couple of these ESA agents are now sort of doing their own thing, like they're reacting. They're starting to fight back. And I mean, I know that other people can read ahead and I don't know what happens, but the last thing I read is they got on a helicopter. They stole a helicopter. They commandeered a helicopter to go to the port because there's an alien that has kind of gone off and he's just blowing people up and he's suicide bombing himself. And it's interesting. It's got
a real predator thing going
it's
on.
Got
this guy.
Yeah, it's got like a real predator / commentary on immigration.
This guy, you're only on issue fucking 7. This guy's blowing himself up.
I'm on issue 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm halfway.
Yeah, you got a lot. Oh, that's
I
good.
really want to catch up. I'll probably catch up by tomorrow. Yeah, I know. There's so much left.
I love that feeling. Like when you're caught up on an ongoing title.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking bad feeling.
I know.
Like, well, no,
yes
it's also the greatest feeling because you like walk around all day being like,
wait.
I know what no one else does
No,
yet
I know.
because I was at the store at 8:30 on Wednesday to pick up the
exactly.
book and read it, but
I know.
I like collecting a few issues anyway. Like
I
you do
know.
the same thing with Gasolina. You
Yep.
would buy them in sets of 5
Yep.
and then read them.
You need to have, well, it's nice to binge, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not long. It's not a long book or anything. It's a
impossible
quick
with
read.
an ongoing,
Yeah.
but still, yeah.
But it's been fun. Like since I started reading it, I got 5 issues deep in one day. And by one day, I mean in like one afternoon. I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Basically, the only thing that stopped me was sleep. And unfortunately, there's no magical pill to stop sleep and keep you rested. So
No, this is true.
the writer is Zach Kaplan.
Mm-hmm.
The artist is Andrea Muti. The colorist is Vladimir Popov. Letterer Troy Pateri. Well, it's awesome. Read it. You know me. I like my post-apocalyptic alien crossover. It's the end of the world kind of shit. So it's awesome.
All right, so let's finish off with the Goon. I really, you just seem riveted by this. The Goon.
The Goon.
Yeah. Okay. This is a book from Albatross. And, man, this book hit me out of nowhere with issue 1. And I fucking love this book. And issue 2 just came out this past week. I love this book. I don't know what else to say.
And
okay.
we're done. Thank you.
Thanks
It's been
for coming
great.
out tonight. No. Okay. So much in the spirit of my blender analogy from earlier. Can I give you another blender analogy?
Ah.
All right. So let's take all of the, great monster movies.
Okay.
And so just off the top of my head, like a little bit of Frankenstein, a little bit of Dracula.
All right.
Or Nosferatu, probably more Nosferatu at this point. Maybe some zombie goodness.
Okay.
And some mummy goodness. Throw them all in there. Boom, 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 boom. And then get Goodfellas. Put it in there. Hit that old blend button I like so much.
Yeah.
And we've got this book. This book is brilliant. Basically, you have this, you're in this supernatural world with all these monsters running around. And it picks up in medias res, which I love. It's literally the Goon and a couple of his buddies who are complete idiots, and I love them, getting off a boat that they've been kicked off of because they had some misadventure previously and burnt a bunch of shit to the ground and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. So he's coming back to the town with no name, which is where this book takes place, and he has basically at some point it's said in the story that he cleaned up the streets he cleaned up the zombie epidemic kind of thing, beating them all up and whatnot. Yeah. And at one point, it's funny.
Zombie hunter.
They go in. No, he's not a zombie hunter.
Okay.
He's like an anti-mob guy. He's like a mob enforcer that doesn't belong to the mob.
All right.
And he's this big brooding monster-looking guy, right? And so he, the first issue basically follows him, the goon, and his two buds. Mainly the one bud. The other buddy disappears like a few seconds after he gets off the boat. And they go into their bar, and you kind of you acquaint yourself, but for them it's a reacquaintance with all of the characters. And so you have this snarky woman who's like, you didn't clear up the zombie problem, like we still got zombies right here. Then some guy over at the bar is like, yeah, we keep some around because things have gotten so bad, it's just fun to smack them around a bit.
Oh my god.
And stuff like that. And then he like calls him by some name. He's like, yeah, Travis, I smack you real good, don't I? Like,
that's
it's so weird, but it's hilarious. Like,
yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like there's this running gag where like his little buddy keeps getting like a mixture of some kind of cheese and some kind of like pornographic magazine stuck in the toilet.
What?
Yeah, like I don't understand. It's really and the goons
Why
always
are either of those things in a toilet?
Exactly, and the goons always like, yeah, it's just, like what's up with that? And the guy's like, it's one of those things that fate just does. Like it's
what
so strange.
Fuck?
She's trying to. Yeah, it's like the craziest shit. But sorry, to keep back on the story, these are just little points, little things that are going on. But the gist of it is, he comes back and there's all these gangs, like monster gangs and shit that have popped up, right, again. And they're like, things are worse than ever. Like, you didn't do anything. So he's like, all right, well, I've already got a list going. I just need to find a place to live. And just when he says that, this realtor comes in.
Yep.
And he's a realtor that specializes in houses owned by deceased people and people who have been killed and stuff like that. And have curses on them and all this shit, right?
So this realtor just basically picks up abandoned houses and sells them.
No. Like he gets a commission, yes.
Okay.
But like it's
like
usually
100%.
it's an estate
I
thing.
See. Yeah.
That nobody wants to live there because it's cursed or this was a horrific murder or whatever, right? And he sells these, and so he specializes in it. He's too is like a ghoul.
I see.
Yeah. He kind of looks like the dad on the Munsters, you know, but like a little more gaunt. So they start looking at houses, and this is how you reacquaint yourself with the whole town. It's a great mechanism, right? And they're looking at all these horrific places, like I said, places that there's murders, places that there's, but it's all hilarious actually, because the guy's talking them up, the real estate agent is talking them up, and at one point, you know, there's this showdown where this young kid throws something, I can't remember what it is, at the goon, and he turns around. And the goon's like, oh, you were on my list. Like, that's good. We get started early, and just beats the fuck out of this guy. And also, like, the moat that he's like trying to sell him, the real estate agent's trying to sell him on, is full of like the undead. So they like grab this kid at one point and hold him while the goon, you know, like it's all this silly and fun, but it's a mob story that's like silly and fun with horror monsters.
That's so
with
strange.
monsters. It's so brilliant though. I can't even tell you how like much fun and how great this book is. But yeah, just to kind of summarize, because like I've already ruined it off for the first issue. You still got to read it because you're not getting the jokes, you're not getting the rhythm of the book. But to finally take him to the last place after all the fights and all everything, you know, and he's starting to clean up the streets, right?
Yeah.
He takes him into this to look at one last place, and the whole time you're going there, it's just like the real estate agent's like, oh, you know, I got one place left. It's like it used to be this enchanted whatever, cursed this, cursed that, and then they gentrified the area and it's this, and it's just like a normal big house with a billboard on the top of it, like it's absolutely normal. And so they get the attic in this place, and you know, it's a pretty cool little story. The second book picks up with a gang of vampires, and you also learn his origin story, which is essentially that he was a gangly kid who wanted to be in with the mob, right? And so he in the old world, right? And so,
what happened that created this new world?
No.
Do we know yet?
In like the old world, like in like Europe.
I see
by
what
the
you
old
mean.
world.
Not
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So in the old country, he goes up after doing like just years of being like this fucking pariah, and all the mob guys just treating him like shit. He was always so nice to them. This one guy's like, okay, go hang this cloth on the highest point on this like forbidden castle, and of course it's Nosferatu's castle.
That's so strange.
So he goes up there, and Nosferatu like he does it. First of all, he does the thing because he wants to be in the the monster mob so bad. And he's just like this skinny little kid, and then Nosferatu, like, who can't remember who he is or what he is or anything, just is like it's written really well. It's like insatiable need for like blood or whatever. So he feeds on him, and in the moment, you know how in some vampire lore there's like the transfer of memories during the act of like the blood transfusion.
When they suck the blood?
Yeah. Or they just like exchange
Like
blood.
flashbacks.
Yeah.
Or,
so basically, Nosferatu has this moment where he realizes that he and this kid are like quote unquote like kindred spirits. Like they both are outcasts. Nobody can understand whatever, right? So he feeds him on his blood, the eldest vampire. This kind of thing, and he becomes this monster, the goon. He becomes this monster, but then he's just like fuck you, I'm not hanging out with you, and he just kills Nosferatu, just kills him.
Wow.
And he goes down and he lays waste to everybody. This is his backstory. He just destroys every fucking gang.
Yeah.
He just with his new like powers and whatever, he just cleans up the streets.
So
just
everyone that rejected him, he wipes out.
He just fucking kills them all. He just kills every motherfucker that ever messed with him. And he gets on a boat to America, and it's like, see you later.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's where he sets up shop and becomes the goon. And then it fast forwards to like this kid who's obviously a descendant of Nosferatu, like Vinny Nosferatu or something like that. And his stupid fucking gang.
Junior the
they're trying to collect, right? Like they're
Yeah.
trying to collect at like little bodegas and shit like that. And they're like, no, I'm not paying you. The goon is back. Like, I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to give you protection money. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And so they're like, what's going on? And there's just this wonderful, the whole thing is just, from that point, it plays out in this beautiful comedy. Like the whole book is this wonderful comedy with like this great anti-hero whole thing with monsters and the mob. And it's like, again, it's one of those situations where you just gotta, you open this book and you're just like, okay, you just accept it.
Yeah.
And before we move on to our picks, just very quickly, the thing that makes this book for me, so Eric Powell, he writes and draws the book. He also assists the colorist Rachel Cohen with colors, I believe, or they do them together, however it works. And what I have to say about this book is, as beautiful as it is, as wonderful as the story is, as much as I'm clearly into it because I can't stop talking about it, much kind of like the way that you were talking about Ghost Tree, except for I'm probably more on the positive side.
I know, I'm a bit of a negative person. I'm like, it's terrible. I love it.
I was screaming at hypothetical people about Middlewest in the middle of this episode, and you're telling me that you're the negative person?
I know.
Okay, I love you. Sorry, but the thing that makes this book isn't any of those factors. It is without a doubt the color palette. It's these muted grays and blues and browns and greens, and even when they put in splashes of like orange and yellow and this sort of thing, there's some red in there and whatnot. But when they do it, like it looks like a Joe Fixit Hulk story, or like early, like before Hulk was green, like gray Hulk kind of thing in that sense, like that. But it's got that element because he also wears the hat, right? He wears a fucking like beret or like a Kango hat style thing, kind of, right? But yeah, it's just like I like everything about this book, but the colors make it work so well. The muted greens and the grays and the browns, and it's so good. The shadows are so nice in this book. So it's like you're having all of this fun with the jokes and the fights and the mob slang and the, you know, the monster folklore and all of this stuff. And you're in this very, very specific world. And, you know, it's just one of these things where, like, I think this could be, you remember when we had that surge of, like, adult cartoons?
Yeah, I do.
This should be that. Like, HBO should option this book and throw it on on TV, like, as an animated. You know, like that. That
would make sense.
Like, that's what it should be. Like, 100%. Because people should experience this. This is a brilliant concept. And it's like oh my God, the colors are so good. I would love to see a TV show, awesome. You know, like this. And and I love the Goon. I'm in love with the fucking Goon. You know, the same way as I was when I was a little kid, with characters like the Incredible Hulk or, you know, like I always liked those anti-heroes that did it despite, you know, knowing that it'd be so much easier to just go the other way.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I look like a fucking monster. Like, let's just save the hassle. You know, Swamp Thing was another one that I gravitated towards. In any case, so I love this book. Yeah. I think it's great.
Sounds really cool. It looks really awesome.
I think that everyone should read it.
I think you're right. It would make a cool cartoon.
Albatross wouldn't be hurting from your, you know, that $3.99 would certainly help them. Well, they'd notice it a lot more than Marvel would. I'll tell you that, or DC probably, or you know,
paves the way for more cool stories.
Yeah. You want to go over the picks?
Yeah, let's do it. You may not be as obsessive as we are, so let's just stick to 5. Cool.
If you want more suggestions, we'll talk online. Reach out to us. We'll chat.
Absolutely.
You know,
or if you think we should read something, let us know.
Yeah.
So, okay. You go first. Do you want to go 5 and 5, or do you want to go 1 and 1? Let's go 5 and 5.
Really?
Okay, 1 and 1.
Let's go one for one. I don't want someone listening to my voice for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, no one wants to do that.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you.
Okay. What are we going to do? Let's do Ascender number 2.
All right.
First. Obviously, I talked about number 1 a few weeks ago over on the YouTube, and I guess the main Exploding Earth feed is going to have it now podcast-wise on our new Comic Book Day Top 5. I talked about issue 1. I thought that the Descender was a masterwork in sci-fi dystopian kind of stuff done with a heartbeat, with a heart. And I think Dustin Nguyen has a really unique style of art. I think that Jeff Lemire is one of the most prolific writers in terms of output going today. And, I think that this book, it's just fuck this formality. I want to see what's going on. The solicitation mentions some interesting stuff between Mila and her dad, who's Andy from the first book, and I've gotten so hard into it out of nowhere because I was totally holding out for a long time. I was like, whatever. Like, I need to read another Jeff Lemire book. Like, I need a hole in my head. And then I read it, and I'm like, I'm fucked. So that's going to be my number 5 pick, or do we number these, or how does it? That's
just 5
pick.
picks.
It's coming out this Wednesday, the 29th.
Not make it too difficult. We can't really rate them because we don't. We haven't read them. I mean, we rate things all the time, but yeah. All right, my first one is Stranger Things 6, number 1.
Okay.
I read that last round of Stranger Things books, and it was pretty awesome. So.
I like all the covers.
I know what I'm getting into. Yeah, I know. It looks awesome.
Oh, man. I think it's the B cover with, Father or whatever she calls him on the cover. I don't know why I like it so much. Like the blues. It looks fucking cool.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. What am I going to do next? Let's do Angel #1. I think
Cool.
that comes out this week. All right, so everyone knows the deal with that secret Angel #0 that came out. We posted about it on our Instagram and Twitter. Basically, nobody knew that the series was coming, and moreover, nobody knew Brian Edward Hill was writing it. They thought he was writing a book for them called like Tooth Fairy, because that's what they advertised that as in the solicitations. But the other thing was, and it seemed a little weird for Boom Studios to do it, was that the amount that you could order was based on, like the store at least, was based on the numbers that you had purchased for like Buffy #3 or something like that. And I know their print run was, or what they printed was based on what the output for Buffy #2. But here's the thing: is 3, 4, and I'm assuming we'll see with 5, have actually been gaining momentum. So #1 obviously always spikes, and then #2 kind of fell off. But these issues, it's kind of similar trend wise to what you're seeing with Immortal Hulk, but obviously not on the same level as Immortal Hulk, but where you see every single issue that comes out for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you're seeing more copies sold because the story is really good. So I actually haven't had a chance to read Buffy 0. I couldn't get a copy of it, sadly. Hopefully that'll be, whatever. Angel 0, rather. So I'll read it soon enough. I think Nick has a copy, so which of course, so yeah, I'm gonna get into that. Everyone knows, like, we're giving away Buffy 1 and 2 for our YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Prize there. So it's no secret how much I like this series. So that also comes out this week. And I'm really interested in seeing what Brian Edward Hill does with it. I think Dan Panosian does the cover on issue 1, if I'm not mistaken. You might not want to quote me on that. But if memory serves, I remember really liking it. So
cool.
Yeah. Angel #1.
Angel #1.
Actually solicited this time, not secret.
Sweet. Okay, my next pick is Thumbs.
Yeah. We were looking at this a while ago when it came out with, I guess, the solicits a couple months ago. Yeah.
It's Sean Lewis and Hayden Sherman. It looks pretty awesome. It's got that kind of futuristic. It's described as a social network meets Blade Runner, which is right up my alley. So it's a bunch of kids basically getting together and taking on the government.
Yeah. Sorry, please keep talking because I'm looking up something that literally makes no difference. Warren Beatty. What's that Warren Beatty movie that is like a conspiracy movie? The Parallax View. That's the one I was thinking of.
What? Never seen this.
Yeah, it just, that cover reminds me of the cover, like the poster for the Parallax View. You never seen this movie?
No, I haven't.
A little bit Manchurian Candidate.
I probably have.
Yeah, I like it. I like this movie.
That does look familiar.
Yeah, it's good.
It's great hair.
He had some good hair as a kid.
Yeah,
there, well, I guess, what is he? Probably in his late 20s here.
Yeah, good hair.
But yeah, he had some good hair. Yeah.
Cool.
Warren Beatty. But yeah, that's what the cover reminded me of, and it kind of spooked me because of that. I'm like, oh, you fuckers! It's like, remember the one of our first episodes we talked about it. I don't even think that like Quick Flips was like the Quick Flips that it became.
No.
We talked about how the New World got me because of that stupid like 80s throwback
cover. Looked
I'm
awesome,
like,
and then
oh my god, like I just get me it. I paid more for that cover too. I paid like $1 more. It wasn't lame. It was all right. I like the writer. I like the artist too. Actually, I don't like them. I didn't like that book. Yeah, you're right.
I didn't like the character.
It's because there was so many other books at the time that were doing it better. Yeah.
No, I still didn't like his character.
Well, yeah.
But it's fine. What's your next pick?
I don't remember. Oh, Dark Red. Yeah. Dark Red #3 is coming out. Basically, the gist of it is a vampire story set in the Midwest. And you got this vampire working a Joe job, just trying to like hide the fact that he's a vampire, essentially. And finally, one day, he decides he can't take it anymore. He doesn't want any part of it, and that timeline coincides with him kind of finding this very empowered vampire, a female vampire who's very open about her vampirical nature, you know, and
Vampirical?
unapologetic, unabashed regarding said state. So it's a very much, you know, it's like if Wanted was a vampire comic, I guess, or something. I don't know. I never read the Wanted comic. I'm basing that entirely on the Angelina Jolie
On the movie?
McAvoy
Because
movie.
movies never take liberties.
Yeah,
so.
I've never read that comic. I have no
I
fucking
see.
idea what it's about.
Okay.
It could be completely different.
It could be.
But yeah, in any case, yeah, it's really cool. Like, I really like it. It's like really snappy dialogue. It's quick read. I flipped through it really quickly. Yeah, it's one of those books that just gives zero fucks. It's like, I'm gonna make the book I want and deal with it. That's an Aftershock book, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
That makes
It
sense.
is.
Okay, sorry. So, what's up next for you?
Life is Strange 5.
Is that an Image
Titan
book?
Comics.
Titan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh yes, this series has amazing covers.
That's usually
That's
what
the only
gets
thing
me.
That's the only thing I know about these books.
I know. That's usually the first thing that gets me.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell me almost anything just based on
The packaging.
yeah, on the packaging. And the girl's got a camera on the cover, so it looks pretty good.
Yeah, like it's just that they have cool covers and that it's like a video game sequel, kind of like the Alien books
Yeah.
from Dark Horse,
Yeah,
which are
yeah.
baller. So why not? You know,
Yeah, it's a good way to go. I mean, it's based on the video games.
Same name.
Or it's the same name. Now, it says that it's a continuation. Me either. It just looked cool and it sounds cool. It's based on a continuation, so, and I don't know anything about the video game. So I'm just going to start reading it. And if I have no idea what the frick is happening, then I'll go back and, I don't know, research the video game. But it just got me. I love the cover.
Yeah, it's
The
okay
art
to
looks
make
cool.
impulsive picks. I think
Yeah.
that's a great way to do it.
Totally.
Yeah, screw it.
What's your next pick?
I don't know. Have I talked about Buffy 5? Feels
No.
like I did.
Yeah, you
Okay.
did. You
no,
did.
no, I ran it in with Angels. So officially next week, Buffy the Vampire Slayer from Boom number 5 comes out, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving it. They're doing some weird shit, to give you granted. Like, they're doing stuff that there's probably some fans that are like, "Ooh, I'm an idiot. I don't, complain. I don't care. But I think like 90% of people can totally shut their mind off to like, because it's not like the series and the movie, you know, have ever really had that cohesive of a canon anyway. And like, they literally released a fucking collector's edition DVD a few years ago for this series where, because they shot the first couple seasons, I think in a different perspective than the later seasons, there are like rooftop fight scenes and shit where you can see cameras in the shot, and they did fucking nothing. There's shots where you can see like green and blue screen and like all kinds of like people eating their goddamn lunch and stuff. So it's like,
That's terrible.
but if you're a fan and you're willing to watch that garbage of a show that you once really liked, because now that's like the only way that you can find it to buy it, I think that you can deal with a little bit of canon manipulation and whatnot. So I'm loving it. I think it's so much fun. So Buffy
Cool.
number 5.
Buffy number 5.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's next for you?
Where am I? Oh, yeah. Okay. Paper Girls number 29. I've fallen off reading Paper Girls for a bit.
And then I accidentally, like, I honestly wasn't going to tell you that it was ending.
Yeah, I
And then
know.
it was like, you know what it was? It was the Point Break scene where Keanu fires his gun up into the air. It was like that. Paula was just like, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish with this.
And then when she calmed down, she's like, whoa.
But yeah, number 29. I'm a few behind, so
Yeah, where's it ending? Is it ending at 30? Or is it like...
you would think, right? You would think if they're gonna end the series that they would end it at 30.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
Oh, sorry, I blanked out there.
We both blanked out. You notice that?
Yeah, we went... crickets. The... what did I pick last? I think I picked Black Hammer 45,
Yeah,
number
you did.
4.
Yeah, you did.
Which, like... I feel like it's getting less and less interesting every time that I'm like, I pick a Black Hammer book. But this one is cool because you don't need to have read any other Black Hammer to read this book.
Don't you always say that about Black Hammer, though?
Well, generally it is, because the whole point is
Yeah.
that it happens in the same universe, but it doesn't happen in the same place. Now, my gourd, I saw some of those covers for Justice League Black Hammer, and whoo-wee, I'm gonna be broke that month because I'm getting every single one that I can. You know, that's just fucking cool. But in the meantime, Black Hammer 45 is in 1945, and we're at book number 4. This is a completely different thing. It's kind of like a book that we're going to maybe talk about next week if I can get my hands on the rest of the other 3 issues, because I've only read number 1. Group of 7, which is a reimagining of the Group of 7 as if they're super spies.
That's so nuts.
I know,
love it.
and so maybe we'll try and get the writers on.
Yeah.
To talk a little bit about that on some show at some point. The writer and the artist on, but this book is basically you have a team, or something. The other comparison I would make is if you're a fan of Against the Day, by Thomas Pynchon, the Chums of Chance part. I always love the Chums of Chance part. I don't like that book through and through. It's probably my least favorite Pynchon, but in any case, if you like that book, then it's kind of the same vibe where it's this team of dudes with and they're very nerdy, super team, that have to, essentially fight off Soviet threats and still the looming kind of remaining Nazi threats and whatnot. And there's also this supernatural thing following them, kind of thing, like a ghost spy thing. It's weird. But because it's in the world that Black Hammer exists in, it's magic and superpowers and whatnot exist, but they're just post-war, super dudes, the super team, in their little red jumpsuits and everything, trying to save the world. And it's really fucking cool. I don't know, it's...
Yeah, it sounds pretty
It's
interesting.
on issue 4 now, I want to say. Right?
Yeah,
Number 4?
It's number 4.
So, yeah. Go back and check that out if you haven't yet, and get caught up so you can pick up issue number 4 this week.
Cool.
You have anything left, or was that our last book?
I have one left.
Sweet.
Criminal number 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so
Did you
happy
want
that
it?
No, well, I remember that we had a little discussion about this. I'm very happy that you're getting into this this universe, the grander criminal universe. I'm pretty confident that you're going to enjoy it very much.
Well, you sold it to me, so.
Well, I still haven't read number 4, admittedly. It's here.
To be honest, most of my picks, it was the cover that got me. And I love how simple but awesome it is.
This pair, it's Brubaker and Phillips, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And they... I don't know, dude. They're just so fucking good. They're it's this prolific pairing of one of my arguably a very, very important comics writer and someone who transcends their dark vision in the most almost romantic way. It's this book, I said it before, it has a way of looking at the grim side of the human condition.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's these horrible things happen in this book, but it's also funny and reverent and all these things, and you leave these horrible situations feeling good.
Yep.
And many of these stories you feel as though they're one-offs, but they are part of this larger tapestry, and that's very unique, very much like what Ice Cream Man is accomplishing to me, but in a completely different space. Because this is very, very grounded.
Yeah,
and
it is.
and with touches of obviously old world noir.
That's what makes me want to read it.
But everything is if you were to describe anything in any of Brubaker and Phillips stuff together, you have to describe it as damn whatever it is. Like, you know, it's cold out, damn cold. It's it's a tasty dish, damn tasty. The cigarette is taking too long, damn long. Like whatever it is, like that's just how that universe works. I don't know. If you are reading Criminal and the other stuff that they've done together in this universe, then you are missing out on some of the greatest storytelling that's going. You know, that's true.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
I've already picked it.
Yeah.
You gave me this look of disappointment. Like, how dare I not have read it yet?
I stole your moment. There,
No,
it's your
it's
pick,
totally
and I just
fine.
riffed on it. You know,
That's what sold me on it. I'm not going to say anything. You're the one that already knows about it. So, hey, perfect. Those are all my picks.
and I got into these books late. Like I got into these books way late. So, yeah.
Cool.
I'm
on.
It's going to be fun.
I'm on.
Yeah, you're going to have like a year's worth of reading, like because it's heavy.
Yeah, because
Like,
I don't
you
have anything to read.
You don't read
so-
these fast. The other thing that's great about these books is that there's a lot of value in them because
Yep.
they're bigger books, and then they have like a
Really?
lot of like supplementary materials as well. So, like they're really like a lot of bang for your buck.
Yep.
Any other final thoughts before we get out of here? I don't know. I feel really bad because I just totally stole your pick.
No, it's totally fine.
Any thoughts on anything?
I'm glad that we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, and time goes by so fast.
Yeah.
It's scary.
These episodes also go by really fast. You don't realize that
know.
they're as long as they are because, you know.
Because we have a hard time shutting up. We both talk a lot. We both have a lot of opinions.
Yeah. All right.
Damn long. Sweet. Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Sweet. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Woo. Thanks for listening. If you want to keep talking comics with us, visit explodingearths.com and reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at Exploding Earths. You can subscribe to this and other Exploding Earths podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play Music, and any other podcatchers that you want to use so that you never have to miss an episode. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave us a rating and a review while you're there. It helps people find the show. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at lumpyface with an I instead of a Y. And you can reach us by email at quickflips@explodingearths.com. Send us your thoughts on the show, reading suggestions, reach out to us if you're an indie creator and would like us to take a look at your book. We'll see you in 2 Sundays from now with another edition of Quick Clips. Yeah, that's it. So, bye.
Flexible silk, but stronger than steel. A delicious, nourishing breakfast.
Gentlemen, this is Dr. Reed Richards representing the Fantastic Four.
How do you do? I'm Dr. Bruce Banner.